there were a handful of really bad gun dealers who were deliberately feeding the black market through straw purchases. And that was the primary source of crime guns. And why would that be? Well, because the gun industry markets fear. And so unless the bleeds and leads on the news, people aren't going to be afraid. They're going to start feeling good about themselves. And so in order to sell guns, they need to create fear. And the best way to create fear is to dump guns in the hands of young black men and young Latinos who are going to use it to kill each other. And the TV cameras right there, because it happens in cities, and it's easier for them to go there than to cover a suicide in Walnut Creek. And what happens is everybody gets fearful. They get fearful. Young black men, young Latino men, and then the big bad guy in the suburb wants to have his 9mm. So that's why there's no regulation on the guns, because if they really tighten regulation and dried up the feeding the black market, there would be less death and injury, and people would feel more secure, and then therefore they wouldn't buy as many guns. And they're already losing the battle, because there's a national, I forget the survey, it's a national survey done every year, but the National Opinion Survey. And one of the things that showed was that in 1974, it was the 1960s, that 54% of households self-identified they had a gun in the house. But now it's down to 34.6% of households in America identify they have a gun. And we know that through manufacturing data and reported sales data, that gun purchases are also declining. So that's a good thing, but the industry is scared. And one of the reasons why they completely changed their product line from revolvers to semi-automatics in the 1980s was because that pattern had already started. All the people who wanted a handgun pretty much had it, and that was mostly white men. So what they then did was they said, well, let's get this military technology involved, and started the semi-automatic lines. So you can watch movies and watch the transition of armaments in civilian hands.